The rain fell hard on the metal streets of Station Omega-7. Each drop made a sharp ping against the walkways. The space station floated at the edge of human territory, where different species came to trade and find work. Zara pressed her back against the cold wall of an alley. Her purple skin had lost its healthy glow. It now looked dull and gray. She wrapped her forearms around her body, trying to stay warm. The thin fabric she wore did nothing against the cold air that the station pumped through its corridors. 3 days. That was how long she had gone without food. Her stomach cramped with pain. Every movement made her dizzy. She tried to stand but fell back against the wall. Her legs shook too much to hold her weight. She watched humans walk past the alley entrance. They moved with purpose, heading to their jobs or homes. None of them looked her way. She understood why. On this station, everyone had their own problems. No one had time for a starving Krellin female who could not even afford a meal packet. Zara closed all 4 of her eyes. The memories came flooding back. Her home planet, Krella, burning in the sky. The evacuation ships leaving without her family. The long journey through space in a cargo hold. The promise of work that turned out to be a lie. The theft of her last credits by someone she thought she could trust. Now she sat in this alley, waiting. She did not know what she waited for anymore. Maybe just an end to the hunger that twisted her insides. A noise made her open her eyes. A human male stood at the alley entrance. He wore the blue uniform of a station maintenance worker. His hair was gray at the temples, and lines marked his face. He looked tired from a long shift. Zara tried to make herself smaller. Humans could be kind, but they could also be cruel. She had learned to fear when she did not know which type stood before her. The man stepped into the alley. His boots splashed through puddles of condensation. He moved slowly, like someone approaching a frightened animal. "Hey there," he said. His voice was soft. "You okay?" Zara tried to speak, but only a croak came out. Her throat was too dry. She had not drunk water since yesterday. The man came closer. He knelt down a few feet away from her. Close enough to talk, far enough not to seem threatening. "My name's Marcus. Marcus Chen. I work in the water recycling plant. I've seen you here the past couple of nights when I head home." She managed to whisper, "Zara. Nice to meet you." "Zara?" Marcus looked at her with concern. "When's the last time you ate?" The question made her stomach clench harder. Tears formed in her 4 eyes. She hated showing weakness, but she could not stop them. 3 days, she said. Marcus's face changed. She saw something she had not expected, genuine worry. 3 days? That's not good. Hold on. He reached into his work bag and pulled out a container. The smell hit her immediately. Food. Real food. Her mouth watered so much it hurt. "It's just leftover stew from my lunch," Marcus said. "But it's still warm. Can you hold it?" Zara's hands shook as she reached out. The container felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Marcus saw her struggle and moved closer. "Here, let me help." He opened the container and handed her the spoon. The first taste almost made her cry harder. Vegetables and protein in a thick sauce. It was the cheapest kind of station food, but to her it tasted better than anything she had ever eaten. "Slow down," Marcus said gently. "If you eat too fast after not eating, you'll get sick." She forced herself to eat slowly, though every cell in her body screamed for her to devour it all at once. Marcus sat beside her in the alley, not saying anything. He just stayed there, making sure she was okay. "Why?" she asked between bites. "Why what?" "Why help me?" "You don't know me." Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "My grandmother used to tell me something. She said the measure of a person isn't what they do when everyone is watching. It's what they do when no one is watching. And right now, no one is watching this alley except us." Zara felt something break inside her chest. Not something bad breaking, something that had been locked tight for too long. Fresh tears ran down her face, but these were different. She had been alone for so long. She had started to believe that no one in the universe cared if she lived or died. "I don't have anything to pay you back," she said. "I'm not asking for payment." Marcus watched her finish the last of the stew. "But I am worried about you. 3 days without food, sleeping in an alley. What happened?" Zara told him. The words poured out of her like water through a broken dam. She told him about Krella burning, about losing everyone she loved, about coming to the station with hope and finding only closed doors, about the job that turned out to be a scam, about the theft of her money. Marcus listened to every word. He did not interrupt or judge. When she finished, they sat in silence for a moment. "I'm sorry," he said finally. "No one should have to go through that." "It's not your fault." "No, but that doesn't mean I can't help." He stood up and offered her his hand. "Come on." "Where?" "First, to my apartment. You need a proper meal and a shower. Then we'll figure out what to do next." Zara stared at his outstretched hand. "I could be lying. I could be dangerous. You don't know anything about me except what I told you." "That's true," Marcus said, "but I know what I see. I see someone who needs help. And my grandmother also used to say that we're all just one bad day away from being in someone else's shoes. Today it's you who needs help. Tomorrow it might be me." His hand stayed extended, patient, waiting for her to decide. Zara had spent weeks believing that kindness was dead in the universe, that everyone only looked out for themselves. That hope was a luxury she could not afford. But here was this human, this tired worker at the end of his shift. He had no reason to stop, no reason to care, no reason to share his food or offer his help. Yet he did. She took his hand. His grip was warm and steady as he helped her stand. Her legs still shook, but he supported her weight without complaint. "Can you walk?" he asked. "I think so. If we go slow." "We'll go as slow as you need." They left the alley together. The rain still fell on the metal streets. The station still hummed with activity. But something had changed. For the first time in months, Zara did not feel alone. As they walked, she noticed other beings in doorways and corners, others like her, lost and hungry. She wondered if anyone would stop for them. She hoped someone would. Marcus's apartment was small but clean. He helped her to a chair and immediately went to prepare more food. "The shower is through that door," he said. "There are clean towels on the shelf. Take as long as you need." "Why are you doing this?" she asked again. She still could not fully believe it. Marcus paused in his cooking. "You know what makes humans different from a lot of other species?" She shook her head. "We're not the strongest, not the smartest, not the fastest. But we have this thing called empathy. We can look at someone else's pain and feel it ourselves. And when we feel it, we want to make it stop. Not all humans are good at it. Some ignore it, but I try not to." He went back to cooking. The smell filled the small apartment. "My grandmother came to Earth as a refugee. She told me stories about the people who helped her, people who had no reason to care but did anyway. She made me promise to pass it on, to be the help someone else needs." Zara felt the tears starting again. "I don't know how to thank you." "Then don't. Just get better. Get back on your feet. And maybe someday when you see someone else who needs help, you'll remember tonight." She nodded, not trusting herself to speak. "Now go shower. The food will be ready when you're done." Zara stood up. Her legs felt stronger already, just from having food in her stomach. She walked to the bathroom door, then stopped and turned back. "Marcus?" "Yeah?" "Your grandmother would be proud of you." He smiled. It was a sad smile, but a real one. I hope so. The shower was the best thing she had felt in months. Hot water washed away the dirt and fear and desperation. She stood under the spray and let herself cry, not from sadness this time, but from relief, from gratitude, from the overwhelming realization that she was going to be okay. When she came out, dressed in the clean clothes Marcus had left for her, a full meal waited on the table. He had even found foods that were safe for her species to eat. They ate together in comfortable silence. Every bite restored a little more of her strength. Every moment reminded her that kindness still existed. "I have a fold-out couch," Marcus said as they finished eating. "You can stay here tonight. Tomorrow we'll go to the employment office. I know someone there who might be able to help find you real work." "I can't ask you to." "You're not asking. I'm offering. Big difference." She looked at this human who had appeared like something out of a dream. "What if I had been dangerous? What if I had hurt you?" Marcus shrugged. "Then I would have been hurt. But I would rather live in a universe where I take that risk than one where I walk past someone who needs help." That night, lying on the fold-out couch in Marcus's small apartment, Zara stared at the ceiling. She could hear him moving around in his room, getting ready for sleep. Tomorrow he would wake up early and go to work at the water plant. He would come home tired and do it all again the next day. But tonight, he had stopped. He had seen her. He had cared. She thought about his grandmother's words, about being the help someone else needs. She made a promise to herself. When she was strong again, when she had work and food and safety, she would remember this night. She would look for others who sat in alleys, hungry and alone. She would be for them what Marcus had been for her. The rain continued to fall on Station Omega 7, but inside the small apartment, Zara was warm and fed and safe. For the first time in a very long time, she had hope, and it had all started with one human's kindness. Morning came to Station Omega 7 with the artificial sunrise that the engineers programmed into the lighting system. Zara woke to the smell of something cooking. For a moment, panic gripped her. Where was she? Then she remembered. Marcus, the alley, the kindness. She sat up on the fold-out couch and saw him in the small kitchen area. He moved quietly, trying not to wake her. "Good morning," she said. He turned and smiled. "Morning. How do you feel?" Zara took inventory of her body. The desperate hunger was gone. Her limbs felt stronger. The fog in her mind had cleared. "Better. Much better." "Good. I made breakfast. Nothing fancy, just some eggs and toast. I checked the database to make sure both are safe for Krellins." She stood and walked to the small table. Walking was easier now. Amazing what food and rest could do. As she sat, Marcus placed a plate in front of her. "I have to leave for work in about 30 minutes, he said, "but I called my friend at the employment office. Her name is Jennifer Walsh. She can see you at noon. I wrote down the directions." He handed her a data pad with a map of the station. "I also put 50 credits on this meal card. It's not much, but it'll get you lunch and maybe dinner if you're careful about where you eat." Zara stared at the card. "Marcus, I can't." "Yes, you can, and you will." His voice was firm but kind. "Consider it an investment in your future. When you get a job, you can pay me back if it makes you feel better. But for now, you need to eat to stay strong for interviews." She picked up the card with reverent hands. 50 credits. To him, it might not be much, but to her, it meant she would not go hungry today. "I also left you a spare key," Marcus continued. "You can come and go as you need. The door locks automatically when you leave." "You're trusting me with your home? You've known me for less than a day." Marcus sat across from her. "Sometimes you have to take chances on people. Besides, what are you going to steal? My collection of work uniforms? My 10-year-old entertainment system?" Despite everything, Zara found herself smiling. It felt strange on her face after so long without reason to smile. They ate breakfast together. Marcus told her about the employment office and what to expect. He gave her tips on which businesses were good to work for and which ones to avoid. "There's a Krellin Community Center in Section C," he said. "They might have resources to help you, too. Support groups, temporary housing assistance, things like that." "I didn't know there were other Krellins here." "Not many, but some. Refugees like you. They understand what you've been through." The word refugee sat heavy between them. That's what she was now. Not a citizen of Krella. Not someone with a home to return to. A refugee. Marcus seemed to sense her thoughts. "It's not a bad word," he said gently. "It just means you're someone looking for a safe place to rebuild. There's strength in that." He checked the time and stood. "I have to go. Will you be okay?" "Yes. Thanks to you." He grabbed his work bag and headed for the door, then paused. "Zara, tonight when I get home, we'll work on your resume. Make sure you have everything ready for job applications." Then he was gone, leaving her alone in his apartment. She sat at the table, overwhelmed by everything that had happened. Yesterday, she had been dying in an alley. Today, she had food, shelter, and appointments that might lead to work. All because one human had stopped to help. She cleaned up from breakfast, washing the dishes carefully. It was a small thing, but she wanted to show respect for Marcus's kindness. Then she studied the map he had left, planning her route to the employment office. At 11:30, she left the apartment. The station looked different when you weren't starving. She noticed shops and businesses she had walked past before without seeing. She noticed other beings going about their day. Some looked happy. Some looked tired. Some looked lost, the way she had looked yesterday. The employment office was busy. Beings of various species waited in lines or sat in chairs filling out forms. Zara found the reception desk and gave Jennifer Walsh's name. "She's expecting you," the receptionist said. "Third office on the right." Jennifer Walsh was a human woman with short brown hair and kind eyes. She stood when Zara entered and offered her hand to shake. "You must be Zara. Marcus told me about you. Please, sit." Zara took the offered chair. "Thank you for seeing me. Any friend of Marcus is welcome here. He's good people." Jennifer pulled up a holographic display. "Now let's see what we can do about finding you work. Tell me about your skills and experience." For the next hour, Jennifer listened as Zara explained her background. On Krella, she had worked in botanical cultivation, growing food in hydroponic gardens. She knew about plant nutrition, growth cycles, and harvest optimization. "That's excellent," Jennifer said. "The station has several hydroponic farms. They're always looking for experienced workers. The pay isn't great to start, but it's honest work with room for advancement." She made several calls while Zara waited. Each time she spoke positively about Zara's experience and situation. She didn't hide that Zara was a refugee, but she framed it as strength, not weakness. "Okay," Jennifer said after the third call. "I have 2 interviews set up for you. One is tomorrow morning at Green Grove Farms. The other is Thursday at Station Harvest. Both are good companies that treat their workers fairly." She transferred the information to Zara's data pad. "Now, let's talk about what you'll wear to these interviews." Zara looked down at the borrowed clothes Marcus had given her. They were clean, but clearly meant for a human male, not a 4-armed Krellin female. Jennifer seemed to read her mind. "There's a charity shop on level 2 that helps refugees with professional clothing. I'll send them a message. They'll set you up with something appropriate." "I don't have money for clothes. That's what makes it charity. They give them for free to people who need them for job interviews." Jennifer smiled. "The universe isn't as cold as it sometimes seems. There are people who want to help. You just have to know where to look." She gave Zara more advice about the interviews, what questions they might ask, how to present herself, what the different farms looked for in employees. "Marcus said you were sleeping in an alley before he found you," Jennifer said as their meeting ended. Are you safe now? He's letting me stay on his couch, just until I can afford my own place. Jennifer nodded. That sounds like Marcus. The man collects strays. Strays? People who need help. He's been doing it for years, never asks for anything in return. She leaned forward. Don't let that make you feel like a burden. For people like Marcus, helping others isn't a chore. It's what gives their life meaning. Zara left the employment office with more hope than she had felt in months. She had interviews, real interviews for real jobs. It was a start. She used some of the credits Marcus had given her to buy a simple lunch. She ate it in the station's public garden, surrounded by plants from different worlds. The greenery soothed something in her soul. Following Jennifer's directions, she found the charity shop. The volunteers there, a mix of humans and other species, welcomed her warmly. They helped her find professional clothes that fit her four-armed frame. The fabric was worn but clean. It would do for interviews. Good luck, one of the volunteers said as she left. We've all been where you are. It gets better. By the time she returned to Marcus's apartment, he was already home from work. He looked tired but smiled when she entered. How did it go? She told him everything. The interviews, the clothes, the kindness of Jennifer and the charity shop workers. That's fantastic, he said. 2 interviews already. I knew Jennifer would come through. They worked on her resume that evening. Marcus helped her translate her Krellin work experience into terms the station employers would understand. He was patient as she struggled with some of the human concepts. Don't undersell yourself, he said when she downplayed her experience. You managed entire growing sections. You increased yield by 20%. That's impressive. It was just my job. A job you were good at. That matters. They ate dinner together, a simple meal of pasta and synthetic vegetables. Marcus told her about his day at the water plant. A pipe had burst in Section D, and he had spent hours in a maintenance shaft fixing it. Glamorous work, he said with a tired smile, but someone has to keep the water flowing. It's important work, Zara said. Without water recycling, the station couldn't exist. True. I just wish it didn't involve so much crawling through tight spaces. After dinner, as Marcus cleaned up, Zara found herself studying him. This human who had taken her in without question, who had fed her and sheltered her and helped her find work, who asked for nothing in return. Can I ask you something? She said. Sure. Jennifer said you collect strays, that you've done this before, helped people like me. Marcus dried his hands slowly. A few times, yeah. Why? He was quiet for a moment. Then he sat across from her. I told you about my grandmother. What I didn't tell you was that after she died, I went through her things. I found a journal she kept when she first came to Earth, the entries from those first months. He paused, gathering his thoughts. She wrote about being so hungry she ate grass, about sleeping in doorways, about people walking past her like she was invisible. And then she wrote about the family that took her in, fed her, helped her find work, sponsored her for citizenship. That family saved her life, and because they saved her, she got to have children and grandchildren, and I got to exist. He looked at Zara. So when I see someone in an alley, hungry and alone, I think about my grandmother. I think about that family that helped her. And I try to be what they were. Zara felt the tears coming again. She was crying so much lately, but these were good tears, healing tears. Your grandmother's story lives on through you, she said. I hope so. I really hope so. They sat in comfortable silence. Outside the window, the station moved through its artificial night cycle. But inside the small apartment, 2 beings from different worlds had found connection. I should practice for my interviews, Zara said eventually. Good idea. I'll pretend to be the interviewer. Be tough on you so the real thing seems easier. They spent the next hour role-playing interview scenarios. Marcus asked difficult questions and helped her refine her answers. He was encouraging but honest when something didn't work. "Remember," he said as they finished, "they need workers as much as you need a job. Don't go in there thinking you're begging for scraps. You have skills they want. Value yourself." That night, as Zara lay on the fold-out couch, she thought about value. For so long, she had felt worthless, a refugee with nothing to offer. But Marcus saw value in her. Jennifer saw value in her. The charity shop workers saw value in her. Maybe it was time she saw it in herself. She thought about the interviews tomorrow, about the possibility of work, of earning her own credits, of maybe someday having her own small apartment where she could help someone else the way Marcus had helped her. The cycle of kindness. That's what his grandmother had started, what that Earth family had continued, what Marcus carried forward, what Zara would join. Tomorrow would bring challenges. The interviews might not go well. Even if they did, the work would be hard and the pay small. She would struggle. She would have setbacks, but she would not be alone. She had learned that kindness existed in the universe, that beings could care for strangers, that hope could be found in the darkest places, all because one human had stopped in an alley and asked if she was okay. 6 months had passed since Marcus Chen found Zara in that alley. The station's artificial seasons had cycled through twice, and life had transformed in ways she never could have imagined. Zara stood in the observation deck of Green Grove Farms, watching the hydroponic gardens stretch out below her. Rows and rows of vegetables grew in perfectly controlled conditions. She held a data pad, checking nutrient levels and growth rates. The badge on her uniform read, Senior Cultivation Specialist. "The tomatoes in Section C are ready for harvest," her assistant, a young Altarian named Crix, reported. "Should I schedule the team?" "Yes, but have them start with C7. Those plants are at perfect ripeness. If we wait another day, we'll lose quality." Crix made notes and hurried off. Zara allowed herself a small smile. 6 months ago, she had been dying in an alley. Now she managed an entire growing section and had 3 people working under her. Her comm unit buzzed. A message from Marcus. "Dinner tonight? I'm cooking." She typed back. "I'll bring dessert." They still had dinner together twice a week. She had moved into her own apartment 2 months ago, a small but clean space in Section B. Marcus had helped her move, carrying boxes and refusing to let her pay for the transport service. "Friends help friends move," he had said. "It's a universal law." She finished her shift and stopped by the station's market. With her employee discount, she could afford fresh ingredients now. She bought fruit for a Krellin dessert she wanted to share with Marcus. As she paid, she noticed a figure huddled near the market entrance. The being was small, covered in gray fur that had lost its shine. Zara recognized the species, a Velian, far from their homeworld. The way they sat, trying to be invisible while watching people with desperate hope, was painfully familiar. Zara paused. She had appointments to keep, dinner with Marcus, work reports to file, a comfortable bed waiting in her apartment. But she remembered another rainy night, another alley. Another desperate being hoping someone would see them. She walked over and knelt down, careful not to seem threatening. The Velian looked up with large, frightened eyes. "Hello," Zara said softly. "Are you hungry?" The Velian nodded quickly, then seemed to catch themselves, as if admitting need was dangerous. "When did you last eat?" 2 days, the Velian whispered. Their voice was high and melodic, even strained by hunger. Zara felt her chest tighten. She reached into her bag and pulled out one of the meal bars she always carried now. Emergency food, she called it. Insurance against ever being that hungry again. "Here, eat this slowly." The Velian took the bar with shaking hands. Zara watched them take small, careful bites. She remembered that discipline. The fear that eating too fast would make you sick when your stomach had been empty too long. "What's your name?" Zara asked. "Pip." "I'm Zara. Are you alone here?" Pip nodded. "My transport ship left me. Said I didn't work hard enough to earn passage to the next station. But I did work. I worked so hard." Tears matted the gray fur on their face. Zara made a decision. "Pip, would you like a proper meal? Somewhere warm?" Fear and hope warred in the Velian's large eyes. I don't have credits. I can't pay." "I'm not asking for payment. I'm offering help." "Why? Nobody helps for free. What do you want?" The question hit Zara like a physical blow. She had asked Marcus the same thing. She had been just as suspicious of kindness. "Someone helped me once," Zara said, "when I was where you are now. He told me that someday I should pass it on. Today is that day." She stood and offered her hand. Pip stared at it for a long moment, then reached out. Their small, furry hand was cold in Zara's grip. They walked to a nearby restaurant. Nothing fancy, just a place with good food and no judgment about who ate there. Zara ordered soup for Pip, something gentle on an empty stomach. As Pip ate, they told their story. It was different from Zara's, but the same in all the ways that mattered. Loss, betrayal, desperation, the terrible realization that the universe could be cruel and cold. "I keep applying for work," Pip said between spoonfuls of soup. "But nobody wants to hire a Velian. They say we're too small, too weak." Zara thought for a moment. "Can you climb?" "Climb? Yes, very well. All Velians can. Our home world has tall trees. Greengrow Farms needs someone to maintain the upper growing racks, the ones humans and larger species have trouble reaching. It's not glamorous work, but it's steady." Hope sparked in Pip's eyes. "You think they would hire me?" "I'll talk to my supervisor tomorrow. She owes me a favor." Zara pulled out her data pad. "Where are you sleeping tonight?" The hope dimmed. "There's a maintenance corridor in Section F. The security doesn't check there often." Zara thought about her comfortable apartment, her warm bed, her full refrigerator. Then she thought about Marcus and his fold-out couch. "You'll stay with me tonight," she said. "I have a couch you can use. Tomorrow we'll get you cleaned up and ready for a job interview." Pip's eyes went wide. But you don't know me. I could be lying. I could be dangerous." Zara smiled. The same words she had said to Marcus. "That's true. But I'd rather live in a universe where I take that risk than one where I walk past someone who needs help." After dinner, she sent Marcus a message explaining why she would miss their dinner. His response came quickly. "Proud of you. Let me know if you need help." She took Pip to her apartment. It wasn't as nice as Marcus's, but it was clean and safe. She showed the Velian the shower and found some clothes that might fit their small frame. While Pip cleaned up, Zara made up the couch with spare blankets. She thought about the chain of events that had led here. Marcus's grandmother, the family that helped her, Marcus himself, and now her. The chain continued. When Pip emerged from the shower, they looked like a different being. Their gray fur was fluffy and clean. The clothes were too big, but they were better than the rags Pip had been wearing. "Thank you," Pip said, and started crying. "Thank you so much." Zara remembered her own tears in Marcus's apartment. "You're welcome. Are you hungry still?" They ate leftover rice and vegetables from Zara's refrigerator. She told Pip about the farm, about what to expect in an interview, about which areas of the station to avoid. "Why are you helping me?" Pip asked eventually. "Really?" So Zara told them about Marcus, about the alley and the rain and the kindness that had saved her life, about Jennifer and the charity shop and all the small acts of help that had brought her to where she was now. "Humans have this thing," she said. "They call it paying it forward. When someone helps you, You help someone else. The kindness spreads. Is it only humans who do this? No, I've seen it in other species too, but humans— She paused, thinking how to explain. Humans seem to make it a core part of who they are. Not all of them, but enough of them that it makes a difference. That night, as Pip slept on her couch, Zara lay in her bed thinking. She had come so far in 6 months, from dying in an alley to having a good job and her own place, from believing she was worthless to knowing she had value. And now, she was the one offering help, the one providing food and shelter and hope. The next morning, she took Pip to Green Grove Farms. Her supervisor, Ms. Rodriguez, was another human who believed in second chances. She interviewed Pip on the spot, watching as the small Velian scrambled up the growing racks with ease. "They're hired," Miss Rodriguez said. "They can start tomorrow." Pip nearly fainted from relief. Zara caught them before they fell. "Thank you," Pip whispered. "Thank you both so much." "Just work hard," Ms. Rodriguez said. "That's all the thanks we need." Zara helped Pip fill out the employment forms. She showed them where to get work uniforms and explained the payment system. By the end of the day, Pip had a job, a temporary place to stay, and something they hadn't had in months. Hope. That evening, Zara finally had dinner with Marcus. She told him about Pip and the job at the farm. "You did good," he said simply. "I learned from the best." They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Marcus said, "You know what the best part is?" "What?" "Pip will remember this, and someday when they see someone else in need, they'll remember you helping them, and they'll help too. And on it goes." Zara nodded. "Your grandmother's kindness is still rippling through the universe. Not just hers. Yours too now." 3 weeks later, Pip had their own tiny apartment and was thriving at the farm. They had a talent for coaxing growth from difficult plants. Ms. Rodriguez was impressed. Zara watched Pip work one day, scrambling through the high racks with confidence. The gray fur was shiny with health. The fear was gone from those large eyes. During lunch break, Pip came to sit with her. "I saw someone yesterday," Pip said quietly. "In the same market where you found me. A Torellian, I think. They looked—" Pip paused. "They looked like I used to look." Zara waited. "I gave them my emergency meal bar, and I told them about the charity kitchen on level 5. Pip looked at their small hands. "I wanted to do more, but I was scared." "Being scared is okay," Zara said. "You still helped. That matters. Maybe next time I'll be braver, like you were." "I wasn't brave. I was just remembering someone who was brave for me." They sat together, 2 refugees who had found their place, watching the gardens grow. Somewhere on the station, that Torellian was eating. Somewhere else, others were helping in ways small and large. The kindness spread. A year after Marcus had found her in the alley, Zara stood in that same alley. It looked different in the daylight. Smaller, less threatening. Just a space between buildings where someone had once believed they would die. Marcus stood beside her. They had come here together, a pilgrimage of sorts. "Hard to believe," she said. "What?" "That a year ago I was here, starving, that you stopped, that everything changed because of one moment of kindness." Marcus shook his head. "It wasn't just one moment. It was all the moments after. You choosing to trust, working hard, getting that job, helping Pip, training the new workers, being kind to others. But it started with you." "No," Marcus said firmly. "It started with my grandmother. Or really, with whoever helped the person who helped the person who helped her. We're all just links in a chain that goes back forever and forward forever." They left the alley and walked through the station. Zara's shift at the farm started soon. She was a supervisor now, managing multiple sections. Part of her job was hiring, and she always looked for the ones others might overlook. The refugees. The desperate. The ones who just needed a chance. As they walked, she saw them everywhere. Beings helping beings. Small kindnesses that might change everything or might just make one day better. Both mattered. "I have something to tell you," Marcus said as they reached the farm. "I'm putting in for a transfer to the new water plant they're building in Section J. They need a senior technician to help set it up." Zara felt a stab of loss. Marcus had been her constant friend, her anchor, but she saw the excitement in his eyes. "That's wonderful," she said and meant it. "They're lucky to have you." "It's not for 6 months, and I'll still be on the station. We'll still have dinners." "You better. Who else will remind me to eat actual food instead of just nutrition bars?" He laughed. "I think you've got that figured out now." She hugged him, a gesture she had learned from humans. Their way of saying things that words couldn't capture. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." "Pass it on," he whispered back. "That's the only thanks I need." They parted ways, Marcus to his water plant, Zara to her gardens, both carrying forward the kindness that connected them. As she entered the farm, Crix ran up to her. "Mrs. Zara, we have 3 new applicants for the harvest positions. One of them is—" He lowered his voice. "They're living in the storage tunnels. No address, no references." "Perfect," Zara said. "Send them to my office. Let's see what they can do." Crix looked confused but nodded. He was still learning that the best workers were often the ones who had the most to prove. The ones who knew what it was like to have nothing and would work hard to never be there again. Zara settled at her desk and pulled up the applicant files. 3 beings from different worlds, all looking for a chance. She would interview them all, look past their circumstances to their potential, offer opportunities where others saw only risk. Because that's what you did. You remembered where you came from. You remembered who helped you, and you kept the chain going. Her office door chimed. The first applicant entered, nervous and trying to hide it. Zara smiled and gestured to the chair. "Welcome," she said. "Tell me about yourself." As the being began to speak, Zara listened with her whole heart. Somewhere in the station, Marcus was fixing pipes and training new workers and probably helping someone else who needed it. Somewhere, Pip was climbing through growing racks and planning to be braver next time they saw someone in need. Somewhere, beings were hungry and alone and desperate. But somewhere else, beings were stopping to help, offering food and shelter and jobs and hope, creating chains of kindness that stretched across species and space and time. All because some people, humans and others who learned from them, believed that the universe was better when you helped than when you didn't. When you saw suffering and acted. When you remembered that everyone was just one bad day away from needing help themselves. The applicant finished speaking. They looked terrified and hopeful and hungry all at once. Zara recognized the look. She had worn it herself. "When can you start?" she asked. The being's eyes widened with shock and joy. "Really? You'll hire me?" "Everyone deserves a chance," Zara said. "Someone gave me mine. Now I'm giving you yours. What you do with it is up to you." As they discussed details and start dates and uniform sizes, Zara thought about Marcus's grandmother, a woman she had never met but whose kindness had saved her life. Not directly, but through the chain of helping that connected them across years and light years. She wondered if that grandmother had known that her story would travel so far, that her choice to accept help and give help would ripple through generations and species, that a human maintenance worker would save a Krellin refugee who would help a Velian, who would help a Terrellian, who would help someone else, on and on until the web of connection wrapped around entire stations and worlds. Probably not, but she had done it anyway. Because that's what you did. You helped. You hoped. You trusted that kindness mattered even when you couldn't see where it led. The interview finished. The being left with a job and a chance and a spark of hope that hadn't been there an hour ago. Zara called in the next applicant. Outside her office window, Station Omega-7 spun on through space. Inside, millions of beings lived their lives. Some suffered, some struggled, some succeeded, and some stopped to help. The chain continued.